and welcome to Talk of Hope, a podcast for people affected by lung cancer. I'm Rachel Avery.
And I'm Mandy Lucas.
Each episode we'll hear from people with different experiences of lung cancer, as well as healthcare professionals who will share what's going on to improve the diagnosis and treatment of this disease.
And as someone who's had lung cancer, I know exactly how terrifying it can be. But amongst all that fear and anxiety, there is also hope, and that is what we are choosing to focus on here.
When Natasha Loveridge was diagnosed in 2023, she was told that her lung cancer was inoperable because the cancer had spread to her brain. But, excitedly, things have started to change. And Natasha is now poised to be, we think, the first female in the UK to undergo surgery to remove the primary tumour after progression to brain metastases. Welcome, Natasha. It's going to be a big few weeks for you.
It certainly is, and thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for allowing me this time to tell my story, which will hopefully open the door for other people, and hopefully people, after listening to my story, will then be able to have some discussions and conversations with their own oncology team.
And I think that's one of the driving forces behind us wanting to do this podcast, and why we called it Talk of Hope, is because there is now a lot of hope with lung cancer, and there continues to be more and more and more. There is so much going on. There is so much progress. And again, a little sneak peek of our awareness campaign for Lung Cancer Awareness Month is going to celebrate this year, to talk about all the progress that is happening. And your story now is an absolute demonstration of that.
Yeah.
So for people who aren't familiar with your story, because you have been on the podcast before it was Talk of Hope, our old podcast, Let's Talk About Lung Cancer. And you've shared your story a lot. You've done lots of advocacy work with us. But for people who don't know you, aren't familiar with your story, do you want to just give us a little bit of an overview of kind of your diagnosis and your journey to date?
Yes, of course. So it was actually the latter end of 2022 when I was first of all diagnosed. And I was diagnosed initially at stage 3. There was a little bit of a not a mix-up, but my case was quite complex. And by the time I started treatment, I'd actually progressed to stage 4, and that was in the January of 2023. So I received very quickly a stage 4 diagnosis with brain metastases, and I was told I was incurable, and I got told that I was inoperable. And your world just falls apart. However, I did get told at that point in time that I could take osimertinib, Tagrisso, a TKI, a little tablet, once a day, and I'd heard and I got told that very, very good things about osimertinib. And for me, osimertinib did work wonders. My main tumour, my primary tumour, which at its largest was 8.5 centimetres by 7.5 centimetres, so a huge tumour in my right hand top lobe, it shrank down to 2.5 centimetres by 1.5 centimetres. And, which is amazing. And for a long time, we thought that my brain metastases had been resolved. However, we then found out that this wasn't the case, but I can go into that a little bit later.
Yeah. I mean, osimertinib, and that's osimertinib is one of many targeted therapies. That's the type of treatment that it falls under. It's another example of incredible progress that we're making in treating late stage lung cancer.
Absolutely. In fact, when I first of all got diagnosed with EGFR positive lung cancer, my lung nurse phoned me up and she said, "Oh, this is so exciting," she said, and because I was devastated. And I remember saying, how long have I got? Have I got, 5 months? How long have I got? And she said, no, it's okay. She said, because drugs like the targeted therapy drugs like osimertinib potentially can give you years. And then this is where the hope feeds in, because she said to me, hopefully by the time your body builds up a resistance to osimertinib, there'll be something else in the pipeline. And that is what's happening now. The landscape for lung cancer drugs is just changing so much. And we're being given different options that we never had before. And I know for certain there's a lot more in the pipeline as well. So it's a really exciting time. I know it sounds bizarre, doesn't it? A really exciting time to be in the lung cancer world, really, because it's changing.
No one would ever wish to be in it.
No, of course not.
But like you say, I think the word that sums it up is options.
Yes.
You know, Mandy, when you were diagnosed, there weren't many options.
I was just about to say that. So I was diagnosed in 2016, and my options were chemo. Well, first of all, I had to have a wedge resection because I didn't even know it was cancer. And then when they found out it was, because they said it definitely wasn't going to be, then I had to have really intensive chemo, which nearly killed me, and then another surgery. And I didn't know until about 5 years ago that mine was actually ALK positive, because it never came up because of where it was. They thought it was highly treatable, but I was stage 3, and that was terrifying. That 3 is a scary number. So to be given a 4 a couple of months after the 3 because your treatment was held up because of issues and, you know, whatever that might be, and hopefully we'll go into that a bit later. And
let's go into that now. Yeah. Let's go into that now, because I wrote down progress from stage 3 to stage 4. Yeah. That must have just been, were you angry?
No, I wasn't actually. My husband was. My mum and dad were, my sister was, my children were just completely devastated. I wasn't though. I think I was numb. I think I was very, very numb to it. And I think I wanted to focus all my energies on positivity without it being toxic positivity. I just felt I didn't have any room for anger. I was just wanting to make the most of what I had and making the most of every single day. And I really didn't want that negativity in my life. I just felt I had enough to deal with without, and so many people have asked me if I was angry. And no, and I'm still not now. I'm not angry at all, because at the time, no, you can't be, can you? And it's like you just deal with what you're given and what's in front of you. And I know that my team, they didn't make a mistake, and it's just what we have to deal with. And my team have been amazing. They have been so supportive, and they've been wonderful the whole way along. It was just unfortunate that I did have this delay for a variety of reasons, because my case was really complex. But in a way, I almost see it as lucky as well, because I had a brain scan in November, a CT scan, and that as part of my diagnosis. Yep. And that showed 0 brain mets. However, 6-7 weeks later, in the January, it found 3 brain mets. So in which case I was on osimertinib. Had I started with chemotherapy, or had I had a surgery, those brain mets would have been growing, because chemo doesn't cross the brain barrier. Yeah. So they would have been growing and growing and growing. So I actually see this as a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I get that. Totally.
You know? Because I ended up on the best possible treatments.
Which is proud.
Yeah. So everything worked out in the end anyway.
And you have to have hope. You almost have to, I've said this on a few podcasts, but I feel like I'm a bit of a control freak. But I feel like you have to kind of surrender yourself to the process, because you're not the expert, you're just the patient. And there's no bravery. These people are trying to save your life. So you have to try and surrender yourself and just do what you're told, because these people 100%. know much more about it than you ever will, than I ever will.
Yeah.
That's quite a hard transition. How did you find that?
I think I trusted them. I think
That's
the
brilliant.
same thing. So I didn't want to be given a choice because my opinion was, you're the expert, you tell me what to do.
You sort it out, yeah.
Yeah, you sort it out. So before we realised I was EGFR positive, there was a trial, there was radiotherapy, there was chemotherapy, there was all these different options, and it was a case of, which would you like to go for? And I was like, I don't know. This is a whole new world for me. This is a whole new
One,
language.
yeah, the best one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not an oncologist. I don't know. I'm a school teacher. You tell me. The depths of my science is probably playing with magnets. It's like,
I mean, it sounds great, but yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah,
So what the
That's right.
doctors were telling you was surgery wasn't an option then.
correct.
Can you, I mean, I understand, none of us are medics on here, but why isn't surgery usually performed on stage 4 patients?
The the official line was that because the cancer had metastasized, it meant that it wasn't worth operating on, and that there were maybe better methods through targeted therapy. However, things are starting to change now in the fact as well that people who are taking drugs like osimertinib, their bodies are starting to build up a resistance. And so what we're thinking about doing now, or what I'm doing, is I see this surgery that I'm going to have in a couple of weeks' time as mitigating. And it's a case of, I'm not going to wait until my body builds up a resistance. I've already built up a resistance in my brain. I've had progression to my brain mets, so I've had to have those gamma knives way back in March. So my body's already starting to build up that resistance, and I'm not prepared to wait any longer. That sounds not almost entitled, doesn't it? I don't want it to sound entitled.
I
But
think it does. I think it's something that we say so much about advocating for yourself, and I think this is an absolute beautiful example of you putting yourself, but being led by science. We're seeing, we know more about targeted therapies. We know that they don't last forever. They are fantastic, or they can be fantastic whilst they're working, but cancer is very clever and it will find a way to get round it. And if you can find a way of eliminating or taking out one of its options, one of its roots, one of its, hidden behind a corner or whatever it is, then absolutely, why would you not push for that? That's not entitled. You're absolutely allowed and entitled to push for that yourself. That doesn't make you entitled.
Happy it's an option for you now.
I'm so happy as well. I mean, I've had to really push for this. The thing with EGFR cancer, I'm not so sure about ALK, but I know with EGFR the mutation can change as well. So not only can your body build up a resistance, but as more and more people are taking osimertinib for longer, there's some studies which suggest that long-term osimertinib use correlates with, or not correlates, sometimes mutation can change to small cell lung cancer.
I was about to jump in that because we know a couple of patients who that has happened to, and one is one of our longest standing advocates, Jules Fielder, who I know, she'll be happy for us to mention her, and that is exactly what's happened to her. And I think, we're in a position now where the fortunate position that people are able to live longer on these treatments, but because they're living longer, we're then seeing what comes afterwards. We never got to the afterwards part because people weren't surviving for long enough. But again, now we know that's happening. There's research going on, and we need to understand either why it's happening, or if it does happen, what we can be doing to then treat that side of it.
Absolutely. And this is what I was saying before about mitigating, because 100%. And 3 years seems to be the time when a lot of people's, I basically started to chat to one of my friends within the lung cancer world, and we were talking about the fact that in America, at MD Anderson and Mara Antonoff was starting to perform, so it's about a year or so ago, was starting to perform these surgeries on stage 4s. And then I saw a webinar that I think it was Young Lung put out, and my friend, she's a very clever lady, and she sent me lots of papers. I read the summary and understood nothing else. So I understood the summary, and it seemed to be saying surgery at stage 4, local consolidative treatment seems to give longer life. But because there's been so few people having this, the data isn't solid. So anyway, so I collected all this information and the webinars and the papers and a couple of trials, and I sent it to my oncologist. And I just sort of cheekily sort of said,
Not cheeky, inspired.
Yeah. And well, yeah, and we were talking about advocating for yourself, and I advocated, and I said, look, I strongly believe I'm oligometastatic, because not everybody, not all stage 4 patients, this isn't suitable for everybody. It's all to do with the number of metastases you've got and the number of sites as well, and where the metastases are.
Yeah.
I think just to jump in there, I think that's a really important point. As promising and as exciting as this is for you, we're not saying this is now going to be the solution for everyone. And I think, again, it's that really important conversation with your medical team.
Correct. And it's not a silver bullet, and it's not a cure either. And I think that's the other thing that we need to. So although we're very excited about this, we do need to bear in mind that it is still very rare. It is hopefully going to be happening more and more and more, but it is still not a cure. And I think we really need to bear that in mind. And also, as Mandy will know, having a lobectomy or possibly a pneumectomy is it's really grueling, you know, so you have to be really fit. So anyway, so I sent the papers off to my oncologist and said, you know, I believe I am oligometastatic. These are the reasons why. Can we please have a chat next time I'm in clinic? And so that's what we did. And he said, okay, I'm very nervous about this because there's no data. And I was like, well, let me be the data. And
you know, before any of these treatments became mainstream, there was no data on them. It was only because people were, you know, putting themselves into clinical trials that we've got where we have with chemo, with radio, with targeted therapies, with immunotherapies. It has to start somewhere.
Absolutely. So it was a case of, look, let me, you know, and I said, anecdotally, everybody I've spoken to in America who has had this, they, you know, years later, they're still NED, you know, so can we just try this? Anyway, he said to me, right, okay, let me send this off to the Royal Marsden and Royal Brompton to get second opinions. So he sent my case off to Marsden, and it was Prof Popat and Prof Lim who looked at it, you know, the best in the country, arguably, and they both came back and said, yes, we think we can do this. However, we need to restage you first of all, and you'll need another brain MRI. I'd only been having brain CTs up until this point. We had the brain MRI, and that's when we found where one of my existing brain mets were, there was growth. So I had to have that treated before allowing for the surgery. So we've actually had some delays because originally we were hoping it would be around about March time, the surgery, and then we were hoping it would be July time, and now it is definitely October. So it's been a long time getting here. But my surgeon, he's actually sent my case off to Mara Antonoff to look over. Another guy from Zurich, I can't remember his name, a surgeon in New York as well. So there's been a lot of very well thought of and well regarded professionals and clinicians who have looked at my case before deciding whether or not we could actually do this. So yeah.
It can be hard to advocate for yourself, especially when you're first diagnosed, because you don't know what questions to ask. Our nurse-led helpline can guide you through everything, so you head into appointments with a plan and relevant questions. Call 0800 358 7200 or email lungcancerhelp@roycastle.org. Is it a little bit daunting, or is it just exciting, or where are you? Where is your head at?
I feel very honoured. I feel very lucky. I feel like I have a responsibility to my team as much as they've got responsibility to me, if that makes sense. I feel like it's a partnership. So my surgeon, I said, what can I do to help you? And he said, you just have to be as fit as possible. And I was like, well, you're talking to the right girl, And so I've been going to the gym. I've been on my mountain bike, although I've got to be really careful on my mountain bike because he said to me, I don't want you to break any bones. So, yeah. So I've just been trying to keep myself as fit as possible, yoga a few times a week. And so, yeah, I just feel really, really grateful. I'm not scared. I'm really not scared because I feel like this has given me a lifeline, and I know it's not a cure. I know that, but I keep hoping. It's going back to that hope, isn't it? I keep hoping that it's going to give me long enough for the next thing to come along.
Yeah.
So
is the hope from the surgery that you will, and they'll take the whole of your primary away? Will you be NED, or is that because of the brain mass? You don't know.
I don't know. They were talking about whack-a-mole or splatter rat because I've still got a brain met, and it has shown inflammation, but that is in line with gamma knife after 6 months.
Yeah.
I will be having a perfusion scan after I've had the surgery to see if it is growing. If it is growing, then we'll get gamma again. But potentially I might have brain surgery to remove it. Who knows? But I just feel that, so it would be lovely to get to NED. I think my lung I will do. So we don't know if we're going for 1 lobe, 2 lobes, or a whole pneumectomy. We won't know until we get in there. Originally, they thought it was going to be the whole lung, but having had like Mara Antonoff al looking at my scans and so on, they seem to think they can get away with just the top lobe, which would be incredible, wouldn't it? But I guess it depends on the scar tissue because originally the tumour was so large. It just depends on that.
What it's left behind. Yeah.
What is the surgical plan then? Is it going to be open surgery? Is it going to be VATS? Is it robotic assisted? What are they looking at, or do they not know yet?
It's open, so it's going to be a thoracotomy. And thoracotomy. He's hoping to be able to get away with, I think there's a new way of doing it where you hopefully don't have to break your ribs anymore. That's what we're hoping.
I was broken, so I'd hope that's still the case. I had a thoracotomy and they did a lobectomy, but mine was in the bottom right, so it was much easier to get to.
Yeah.
I called it my shark bite. It looks like I've been bitten by a shark.
Yes, yeah. I was going to come up with some story about swimming in like Australia.
I'm there already. I'll pass you on my story. It's absolutely funny.
Please do.
A lot of people on holiday actually believe me. It's very funny. It's because I don't look like I'm the kind of person who would be swimming with sharks. Anyway, that's besides the point. It sounds like, I had full open and it was hard to get over, but I was so elated from it. And you seem so energized by the thought of it, Natasha. I don't think you're going to have a problem with whatever it is. I think you're going to be fine. But it's worth it. All I'd say is it's worth it to get that blighter out.
Oh, absolutely. I just want it burnt. That's all I wanted. When I first of all got diagnosed, I was just like, just take it out of me. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it. And now the fact is that they are. So, so the NED question, hopefully, excuse me, my lung, yes, lymph nodes are coming out as well. It's just the brain met. If we can get on top of that as well, then who knows? But he did say because it has metastasized, because it's at cellular level, then he said he doesn't like the term NED.
Yeah.
He says that there'll be no active disease. You know, it could be that we get to a point of no active disease, but he said the case of no evidence of disease because it could be two cells. But the other thing, I don't know if you're the same, Mandy, is that even if they don't find any cancer in pathology in what's left, I don't care, you know, because it could be that there's just one cell in there, and if that one cell then goes rogue,
Yep.
you know.
Could not agree with you more. Just take what you need. Just take everything that you need.
Yeah,
I don't.
100%.
Just get rid of it.
100%.
I don't want any of it. So I can't wait for you to wake up after the op because it's such a great feeling. I mean, you'll feel dreadful, but it's a great feeling. You know, it's just. I'm so excited for you.
Go on, talk us through when you woke up from your surgery then, Mandy.
So I woke up in intensive care, which was the plan. It wasn't a rush thing. I don't remember anything for the first 36 hours, I'd say. I was so drugged up. I had drains all over. I don't want to frighten you.
No,
It wasn't
totally.
that frightened. I had a couple of drains in. I very quickly got moved onto a ward, so I was in intensive care for 2 days. Don't remember a lot about it at all. I know I've got kind of ghostly images of Tony turning up, my husband, and then going again. And yeah, I don't remember a lot about it. Then I was in the ward for 2 or 3 days. On day 3, they came and took the drains out. That was the worst bit. That hurt. Sorry?
Do they need to size?
They didn't even, no, they just said take a deep breath.
Like anesthetic. No.
No,
They just pull them out.
I didn't have anything. I mean, they might do it now. This was a while ago. But it's fine. It's a second.
Yeah.
And then I went home 2 days later. So it wasn't, that wasn't that bad. I had to have it twice because the first time they did a wedge resection because they didn't believe it was cancer. And I said, just take it out. I don't care what it is. You can't biopsy it. I think it's cancer. Take it out. And then it wasn't. So then I had to have the chemotherapy and then have the operation again to take the rest of that lobe away. Because it was stage 3, it had spread, etc. It's just a feeling of elation that it's gone. I can't explain, you just feel lighter.
Big caveat again of I'm not a medic, but in my non-medical brain, if you take away the primary tumour, surely that's only a good thing.
Absolutely.
So
it's like taking away the source.
Yeah.
Taking away the queen,
Absolutely. That's what I call it, the mothership. Yeah. I call it the mothership, and it will reduce your tumour burden as well, you see. So, that's got to be a good thing, right? You know, the fact that you've actually got less cancer in your body, which means that your body, if something else does go a bit rogue, then your body can fight that far more effectively and efficiently than if your body has got a lot more cancer. And it's so much easier to control if you've got less cancer in your body. At least that's how I see it.
I see it like that too. It was such a relief to wake up and know that, they got it all. And 3 weeks later going back, and saying they're good margins, they got it all. There's nothing left. And then obviously having scans, and at that point we did talk about NED, which is what I was told, which was great. But even if just knowing that mine wasn't even very big, so mine was only about 8 millimeters, but aggressive as hell because it already spread. So it would have got me, it would have killed me. Discovered completely by mistake. Anyway, this was not my story, it's yours. But 2.5 centimetres from where you were, 8 centimetres, is unbelievable shrinkage. And then to get rid of that and the scar tissue as well, please God, it's just incredible news.
I know.
It can only be a good thing, like you said. It's just brilliant.
I know. And it's the fact that, like I said at the beginning, the fact that this is actually starting to happen when 3 years ago we got told that this wasn't even an option. And the fact that, patients can have those conversations with their teams and their oncologists. And it just feels as though, you're part of that conversation, and you're part of that dialogue, which is, again, that's a real good thing because it makes you feel as though your voice is being heard.
You took control, didn't you? I mean, I have a lot of respect for you for doing the research and taking it to your oncologist, and for him too, to sit down and listen to what you had to say and to really take it to his team to check if that could have been done. The whole process is just self-advocation in its, in the best form possible. And without you doing that, you probably wouldn't be in this situation. So that is incredible.
Yeah, and for my team to be so forward thinking as well, because I know that there's a lot of teams who would be very resistant to it.
Terrified of it.
Yeah, whereas mine were like, okay, let's look at this, let's talk about it, let's go and get the second opinions. And when I had clinic, I've actually got clinic tomorrow morning as well, but my last clinic, I sat down and he said, you've made your mind up, haven't you? And I was like, yeah. And it's like, and my surgeon, when I walked in and I sat down and he always gives me a hug, and he gave me a hug, and then he looked at me and he just went, 21st of October okay for you? And I was just like, yes!
Sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. It's just brilliant news.
I think it just shows the importance of that relationship with your medical team. There's trust and respect on both sides. And you both kind of alluded to this, at the beginning when you first diagnosed, you have to relinquish control. You're in a position where you're not best placed to make those decisions. You haven't got the knowledge. You're numb. You're scared. You're thinking the worst. Your mind's gone to very, very dark places. And you have to relinquish that control. But then as things start to settle and you start to come to terms and understand what's going on, that's when you can start to take back that control. You can start doing the research. You can, develop relationships within the lung cancer community, both here and abroad, and, where things are a little bit difficult medical systems and different ways of approaching things. As you said, Natasha, this has happened in the States a few times and you've got that evidence there. And being able to then be in a position to take back that control is something to be celebrated.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hugely. Kind of works in a different way for me, Rach, because I started off with the control and saying, you will do this, and they're saying, no, we're not. I'm going to talk to, the MDT, and then they came back and said, no, we're definitely not taking it out. It's definitely not cancer, even though they didn't know what it was. So mine started with control, and then when I went back and they said it was lung cancer, then I was like, well, what are you going to do about it? Over to you, because I don't know anything. You've been telling me it's not lung cancer for 18 months. So now it is. You sort it out. So it's kind of different, but it just shows you that you have to self-advocate. You have to, your body. On my case, I knew my body. I knew it wasn't right. For your case, just the research and the time you took to speak to people to be able to take that to your team. That's incredible.
Share experiences and knowledge by joining our online community. Ask questions, swap stories, and make friends, day and night. Because you don't have to go through lung cancer alone. There's a whole community waiting to support you. Visit roycastle.org/online community.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you how you feel about being the first woman to have the surgery.
Yes. So we believe I'm the first female in the UK to have this surgery after progression to brain mets. So it has happened before. Other women have had this surgery before. I know that there's a gentleman who has had this surgery after progression to brain mets as well. I found out about that the other day. I just feel that, like I said before, I just feel really grateful, and I just feel that, oh goodness, I just, somebody has to be the first, right? And so I feel quite honoured about the fact that they're taking not a punt on me, but the fact that they're actually taking a chance on me, and they're giving me this opportunity, when so many people in the past would have, they'd have loved to have this. So like I said before, I'm determined to do the best I can to help them as well as to help myself. And people sort of saying about pioneering and trailblazing and things. But, people in the past have done that, haven't they? And I think so many of us, have walked in the path of others, and, then we're just taking it on. It's those building steps.
And, like we said earlier, everyone that was part of a clinical trial for osimertinib has led you to where you are now, Natasha.
Absolutely.
The founder of our charity was a pioneer in surgery. He was the first surgeon to perform keyhole surgery for lung cancer.
Yeah.
So, it is about progress.
It is, isn't it?
And for so long with lung cancer, we haven't seen that progress. And, if you look at kind of survival rates, it still doesn't look like we're seeing that much progress, but that's because these things take time.
Mm-hmm.
But we are, and I've been at the charity nearly 10 years, and even in that time, the amount of new treatments, all these new fancy names that I've got to learn how to pronounce and spell, it's remarkable. It really, really is remarkable. And this is another example of that. I was visited a company a couple of weeks ago that looks at robotic assisted surgery. So we've got this coming down the line as well. They also do robotic assisted bronchoscopy. So we've thrown the word exciting out a lot, and exciting and lung cancer don't really seem to go together. But it is exciting.
It's so hopeful. It's that, I can't even think of the right word, but it gives us so much optimism for people who get this in the future, us as a community, but the people who don't even know that they're going to be in this community yet. The fact that they're going to come into a different world where the treatments are completely different and going towards curative. It was curative for me 10 years ago. I was very lucky. But, people who have never had that diagnosis, we're going to get there. And with the screening, obviously, that we talk about a lot, it all feels very hopeful now in the lung cancer world, and it didn't when I was diagnosed at all.
I was interviewing a guy earlier this week who is part of our campaign for Lung Cancer Awareness Month, and he was fortunately had an early diagnosis and went on to have surgery. He just needed surgery, and has since 2.5 years down the line is still all clear, which is fantastic. And he ran the London Marathon for us last year, which again shows incredible progress, and the fact that you can have part of your lung removed and still go on to run a marathon, incredible. But he formed a really good bond with all the London Marathon runners that year, and they had a WhatsApp group, and they all had their own reasons for running, but the majority were in memory, because that's what we used to face with lung cancer. People died, and they died very quickly. And he said, he felt almost like a beacon of hope for them as well, because they were supporting our charity because they don't want other families to go through this in the future, what they've gone through. And then to see him doing what he was doing, it was almost like that had come true. And hearing stories like yours, Natasha, that will be the same for other people listening, that again, it's just, well, she's gone through that and she's done that, so that can happen for me as well.
And that's why I've been so prolific in sharing my story, actually, and sharing the research. So people who connect with me on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, it's mainly Instagram, I've shared these papers and the research with so many people who are now having conversations, and a few people have said to me, they come back to me and they've said, oh, I'm having surgery now as well. So that ripple effect is already taking place. But I'm only like a small cog in the whole of this. You know, you mentioned before about the community, and this is the strength of the community and community advocacy as well, and about all the, people like yourselves, so Roy Castle, and all the other advocacy groups and the patient groups and the forums and people sharing knowledge and having those conversations. So it equips you with the skills and the knowledge to be able to have those conversations. So, I'm only a tiny, tiny little cog, but people like, you guys play such a huge role. Just by having this conversation now, this podcast, that will then open the doors for so many other people. And I think that strength of community is just phenomenal. It's really phenomenal.
I was going to say, when I first got lung cancer and I went to Roy Castle Lung Cancer Foundation, it was weird, and also the hospital and the oncology unit and all the people that work there, it became somewhere that I looked forward to going to and looked forward to being on the web. It's really weird to say that. So when my chemo finished, I was almost like a bit sad because I was going to lose my whole support group with the nurses. That sounds so strange. It's like a club that you don't want to belong to, but when you do, you meet the most incredible people. It's a really weird dichotomy in my head how I can even say that, but do you not think that's true as well? Yeah, you're nodding.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So whenever I go down to my oncology unit, I really enjoy going. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm really nervous on clinic days and results day, and that's a completely different conversation, anxiety. But what I do love, I love seeing my lung nurses, and I love seeing my oncologist and my team, and now my surgeon as well. And there's, like you say, there's that sense of connection and community, and everybody's just so gorgeous and so lovely. And it almost feels like a home from home, So I do get nervous, don't get me wrong, and I get very, very, I feel sick before clinic appointments, especially when it's, scan time. It's horrible. But like you say, you meet, it's a horrible club to be in, but actually you meet the nicest people. And
those are the best people you're ever going to meet. Yeah. I really think that. And you feel important to them, even though they're doing their job and it's just a job. You feel when you talk to the people in your team, you feel like it's like they really care about what happens to you and they really listen to you. And sometimes that might be the only place where they actually know what to say to you. They don't care what they say to you because they're just being honest. Where in your real life, where people are kind of tiptoeing around you if they don't want to upset you, you have some very strange conversations. We're kind of digressing, sorry, Rach. But the clinic and the setting of the oncology nurses and where you have your chemo and the specialists, they don't care if they upset you or not. You're just having those really frank conversations, and it's really refreshing because they know what they're talking about. Anyway, I'll be quiet now, but I don't think
you should apologise. We love a tangent here. It's all good, especially because I think for a lot of people, I've had this kind of conversation when you first head into those clinics and those wards, or chemo ward, for example. The fear and the expectation of how awful it's going to be is really overwhelming. And so many people then say, actually, it's a really happy place. Like, you wouldn't expect a chemo ward or a treatment ward to be a happy place, but it all comes down to the staff that are there. And, I'm sure many people that are listening, they might have not have started on their treatment yet. They might, be about to venture into those places. And I'm sure it's really reassuring to hear from you two who've been there, done it, and got the T-shirt, that actually it's okay. It's not going to be a horrendous place. You'll actually find quite a lot of joy there.
Yeah, I really do. I look forward to going to see them. When I have a meeting with my specialist now, which I still do, I run down to the day unit and say hello to everyone and give everyone hugs. Think like the rest of the patients think I'm nuts. So I'm like,
Not just the patients, Mandy.
But
I'm completely the same, Mandy. And
you feel so uplifted, don't you, by these people?
Yeah.
Who know you before.
And they just welcome you. So every year I take an anniversary card. I take an anniversary card, and like a big box of chocolates and things as well, because these guys they've become part of your life, you know, and you know, they become your confidants, and they just play such a huge role in reassuring you and grounding you, and like you say, they're not
Stopping you spiraling.
Sorry?
Stopping you spiraling
out
of control.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. I like to do a bit of spiraling. They kind of bring me back to like, now stop it. Just catastrophizing again, aren't you? It's like, but yeah, exactly. They become like, just a massive support.
Mm.
And then you wonder how they even do their job. I don't even understand how they do that job day in, day out, but full of angels. That's all I can say. I know it sounds corny, but they are. Anyway.
It's not corny. It's not corny. It really are. It takes a special person to be a cancer nurse specialist. It really does.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
You've mentioned scanxiety there, and you know it's a topic that Mandy's fluent on.
I'll keep quiet.
When will you have your first scan kind of post-surgery? Do you know?
I don't know. Maybe I should ask that tomorrow in clinic. I know that I've got my brain scan 2 weeks after surgery. With my lung, my thoracic CT. I'm guessing 3 months. I think.
My gosh.
I don't know, but that's a good question. Maybe I should ask.
Okay, to help. And just to clarify, so your metastases have just gone to your brain. You haven't got any other.
Not that we know of.
Yeah.
So lymph nodes. So lymph nodes and brains, but the debate's out whether or not lymph nodes are included. So.
Yeah. But that's what's made this possible by the fact that it's only gone.
Yes.
Only gone to your brain, but you know, had it been in other parts as well, it probably would be off the table.
Yeah. So I'm very, very lucky. Very lucky just to have brain mets.
Just have a couple of brain mets. I'm really lucky. Do you get any symptoms from the brain mets?
Not really.
No.
I'm not allowed to drive, which is really frustrating. So no, not really. I mean, I get headaches sometimes, but I think that's because I don't drink enough water. I don't think it's to do with the brain mets, so I don't get any dizziness, I don't black out or anything.
Yeah.
I think where it is, where my brain met is, I don't think it really affects me in any way, which again, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
You know?
So we're not far away from the big day. Do you have a plan for afterwards, or is it very much let's take each day as it comes?
Let's take each day as it comes. That's pretty much how I've approached a lot of living with cancer. You know, you just take one step in front of the other, just keep going, and then I said to my surgeon about recovery and how long will it be before I can go for a walk and how long it can be before I go on my bike and so on. And he said, I'm not going to give you any fixed timelines. He said, it's whatever your body, when your body feels ready, that's when you can. And he said, and it's good to push yourself. He said, don't be silly and, don't overdo it. But you need to push yourself a little bit. Don't be scared of pushing yourself. And I'm quite fit anyway. So I'm hoping to sort of get back to that. In fact, I'm hoping to maybe this is like a world exclusive. So I'm hoping next spring to maybe, very much maybe, depends on everything, do the Yorkshire Three Peaks, not within the 12 hours, but over a weekend or a couple of days. I'm thinking about doing that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just let's just see what happens.
I think having a goal like that is can be really positive as well. Again, chatting to Alex, who ran the marathon, he had surgery. He always wanted to run a marathon. He was due to run one before he got his diagnosis. And once he had recovered, and it took him longer than he expected, because again he was a fit guy, ran a lot, but it did take longer for him to recover. But then he just thought, I'm at a point now where I need a challenge. I need to have that focus again. And I think you're very much a similar person.
Yeah. I've been accepted onto yoga teacher training as well, and I was supposed to be starting it in October, which is now, isn't it? But obviously I can't because I'm having my lung taken out. So I start that in April.
That's great. Well, that's because you were a teacher before your diagnosis, so it's a way of combining those two passions as well.
Absolutely. So, and I'm going to have to be strong enough to be able to weight bear and so on. And my surgeon seems to think that April will be fine. So I'm not naive. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be painful, but my goodness, it's so worth it.
It's so worth it.
Yeah.
And if it's any consolation, I don't even think about. I mean, I'm only missing a third of one of my lungs. I'm missing, not that much, but I don't even think about it, and it doesn't affect me at all. I never think about it. The reason I get out of breath is because I'm unfit, not because I'm missing part of my lung. I need to get back on my Pilates trail and walk a mile every day in October, which I haven't started yet. But I'm going to.
So 3 miles tomorrow then?
Yeah, it might be next October, just saying.
Right, we can roll this over to November for you, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, if you just hold it over for me, that'll be good. But joking aside, to you, Natasha, and everyone that's listening, I know we don't know the extent of your surgery yet, but I really pray that it's just a lobectomy and that you come out of that. But if it isn't, you're so fit, you will be fine. But it's a known fact that your lung expands into the space.
Yes.
So it might take a little bit longer if you're missing a bit, but honestly, it's the best thing I ever did because it got that little blighter out of me, and that's all that I wanted. So I'm so thrilled that this will happen for you. I really am.
Thank you. Thank you.
And will you come back once you have recovered and tell us all about it?
Of course I will. Of course.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, from everyone at the charity, we wish you all the luck for the big day. We'll be thinking about you. We'll be sending well wishes. And yeah, anything we can do for you, you know where we are. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing it. The word of the episode is exciting. Yeah. So it is. It's really, really exciting to see that this is going to be a possibility for some people moving forward, and who knows what's to come.
Absolutely. Look forward to it when we next meet again, but I'll see you on Instagram.
Yes. But thank you so much. You. Sorry, say again?
I said I'll be following you and your progress on Instagram.
Thank you.
And on that, so if other people want to follow you, what's your handle?
Tasha, I think it's Tasha.vs.thebigc. I think that's it.
We'll clarify that, and we'll stick that in the notes alongside the episode, just so people have got it. But yeah, they'll be able to follow all of your progress on there as well. Thanks so much, Natasha, and look after yourself, and we will speak to you soon.
All the luck in the world. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yes, thank you. And thank you for all your support. And, like I said, this wouldn't be happening without guys like you, because, we wouldn't even be knowing about all these sort of treatments if it wasn't for groups like Roy Castle. So thank you.
Bye.
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 You have been listening to Talk of Hope from Roy Castle Lung Cancer Foundation. For support and advice about any of the topics covered in this podcast, visit roycastle.org. Talk of Hope is a fortnightly podcast with new episodes released every other Tuesday. Like and subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode.